I really love jiu-jitsu. I really live I live jiu-jitsu
I can tell.
24/7, and I'm very intense. So I don't like to put myself as an example for anybody, but if I can be a form of inspiration to someone just to step out of their couch and do something, it's like, what's the worst case scenario?
Well, I'll be honest. I went to go watch you teach a class. We'll put some images up of the class, and I was there on the sidelines, and I felt like jumping in and going in.
I'm glad to hear that.
You know, I liked the way that you were, and obviously they were a more advanced class and all that, and I get that, but it was interesting to see the way that you were communicating with them. You don't just go there and say, this is what you have to do and do it. No, you explain why, and it makes sense what you were saying before, which is it can be done in so many different ways because of the opponent.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so let me just start by saying welcome to the Creative Spin podcast. And today we're going to get into a nice little fight over here. No, I'm not. I'm not, because this man, George, would probably beat the hell out of me. So I am not going to do anything. I'm going to behave myself today. George, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Good.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you for accepting the invitation and, allowing me to actually step into your dojo. We had the opportunity to be at the dojo and see you, training and with a whole bunch of students there and all of that. So walk us a little bit through your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu career. Like, when did you start? What got you into it? I think that's an interesting point, because everybody kind of gets into martial arts for a different reason. Right? Yes. What was your main reason to get into it?
And mine was more about belong to a group. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like early 90s. Jiu-Jitsu was becoming really famous in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's where I came from.
All right.
And I was more into soccer. That's like my
like
first.
Most Brazilians, right?
Yeah,
you guys love soccer.
I lost my dad. I was 8. My dad passed away, so my mom kind of put me in soccer, and that's what I kind of got to know as a sport. And all the kids have this idea that one day they're gonna be a player, and I keep trying and trying. But one of the things that are very common in Brazil is like this, we call peladas, which is like people play soccer in the streets, kind of like free, like small fields. They like dirt fields, and then we just play there like pretty much all day as we do trials in teams. And on this back and forth, trying here, getting a group of people to play in other places here and there. Yeah. My friends, my core friends, I'll say, they start to train jiu-jitsu. And then I had that gap. I didn't have this close friends on the games that we like to play. That we're talking about Brazilian, Rio de Janeiro, Brazilian street culture. It's quite a different, especially coming back like all these years, like back in 93 and 92.
Things were a little bit different back then.
Rough. Like especially the area born in Rio, and then I'm raised in this area called Tijuca. Mm-hmm. It's big neighborhood, but there's this specific area. There's like close to some hills, has some favelas. So then I don't know if you can understand, but like the Rio de Janeiro culture is like everybody's so mixed together. Yeah, it's like. And then you can find people from everywhere there. But these friends of mine, they start training, and I don't want to do jiu-jitsu. I start to flirt with the idea to go kung fu. So I go to an academy in a different neighborhood, and I felt so scared because the boys were wearing black keys and doing ki eyes. I was like, wow, man, this is not for me. I tried Taekwondo. And then Taekwondo, I felt a little bit more comfortable. I wore the gi. I tried the class, but I was lost. It's totally lost. So then I kind of kept that away, and my friends kept training. Yeah. And then one day, if I'm not wrong, we have like set to go watch a game in Maracanã Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, martial arts is, a lot of people might look at it and say, oh, this is going to be easy. I can go in and I can just... It's not that easy. There's a lot to it, right?
Yeah, that's when jiu-jitsu comes in place.
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference between jiu-jitsu and other martial arts. And that's what caught me in, because I never feel I was a skillful kid. You know, some kids are amazing. You see, I teach kids today. I see some kids come with like a lot of motor skills. They have the sense of space in their bodies, like they learn so fast. But the vast majority of people don't really have it. And then
that coordination sometimes.
Coordination is motor skills. And then to me that was like one challenge. I knew how to play soccer, and that was not very good, but I was like really determined. So there's friends of mine are there, and then we go, and then okay, I'll meet you guys at jiu-jitsu. That was not my intention to actually try the class that day.
Yeah,
I just went to watch. So then, as I come there, the instructor teaching come and grade me and say, "Hey George, how are you?" He passed away. His name Flávio Figueiredo. At that time, he was a black belt, maybe 6th or 7th degree. He was already an older man. And he led that dojo, small dojo in my street. So he come and he asked, like, how are you? Like, you come to watch the boys? I'm like, yeah, like, this class is going to start. Why don't you try? I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm okay. Like, no. And somehow he convinced me to step in. And I think I was kind of intimidated that he approached me and he kind of brought me in. But he started to show me, and then it was so simple that the class that he taught me is pretty much the class that we teach today, like in our system. And then, of course, when I changed to Grace Academy, this is a story that I will get there. I saw that was kind of pretty much the same, so then I kept that in here. But anyways, and then at that point, I started to understand. It's like, wow, that's so cool. And he say, like, now there's a guy that started yesterday, so now you go with him and you guys got to do this fight. That was like partial training. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was so adrenaline. And
so how old were you when you started that?
I was 13.
13. Interesting. And so since that day, you haven't stopped since then?
Yeah, that moment, there is a specific moment. That was when like somehow I choked the kid.
Okay.
And I felt powerful as I never felt before. You know, it was a boost of confidence. I'm like, wow, I can do that. Because I always have doubts, very insecure kid. That's one of the reasons that I had like some fights in the street when I was young in soccer. I was always quite violent because I was very insecure. And it took time until like I feel completely secure of myself. But jiu-jitsu was, without a doubt, what really led me to feel like a more confident man.
And that confidence when you're a kid, that translates into you not getting into trouble, is it?
Yeah. Like I never really got in trouble, but I would be sometimes so scared that I would end up getting in a fight. Yeah. Like now, you get in a fight is not as common as it used to be. Like, you know, you see, like, I hope like my kid's like now 10. He maybe one day had a little thing in the park, so it's not comparable for my circumstance.
Yeah, it was different times.
Yeah,
things were very
like
different.
The neighborhood I came in is like in soccer, we always break into fights.
Yeah,
like,
it was rough back then.
All the time, and it was normal.
Yeah,
you know, today there's a stabbing, like shootings. It's so violent.
Yeah, even here, unfortunately, we're starting to see that here in Toronto as well.
Yeah.
And that's why even when I was talking to one of the senseis at my dojo, we're talking about the kids and how important it is for kids to know how to defend themselves. It's not so much about the attack. And I think the mindset of a lot of parents that I talk to is like, oh, I don't want to put my kid there. I don't want him to get violent. And I always try to tell them it's the other way around, right? They should know how to defend themselves if anything happens, right?
Yeah, and something effective. That's what boosts your confidence, because now you know, oh, I can defend myself. Yeah, nobody gonna mess up with me anymore. And then you start to understand that you don't need to prove yourself more, because most of the times, insecurity will lead you to fight. Yeah, that's at least in my experience, because I have always that feeling that I have to prove myself. That someone talk to me in a way that I don't like it, or someone intimidate me, and then I feel like, oh my God, I have to fight. Like our culture was different. Like you need to be the first one to throw the punch, which is like, I still kind of agree with that. I feel like I'm being intimidated. I don't want to be the one getting punched, but I know how to protect myself differently. And if I have to go in, I know how to do it. And then sometimes like what happens is like kids and adults, so now we'll put this in general, like they don't really know how to engage in a real fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in a lot of times it will be that question mark that I'm going to make you so insecure to the point that you're going to need to buy a gun, that you're going to need to carry a knife with you because you're so scared.
Yeah.
It's like I don't feel, I'm like nothing against who likes, the guns,
The
and
recreational
like,
guns and all that. But
nothing against it, but like I don't feel necessary I have one because like I don't need to prove myself. It's like in extreme circumstances, sometimes in the pandemic, I have the trip. I was like, imagine if it was way more threatful than it actually was, that you have to actually protect your family.
Well, never mind. In the States, especially, you saw a lot of states that they had people lining up at the gun shops buying guns. I mean,
because you're like, man, people are gonna come here to try to get my food.
People were getting afraid, and they wanted to, and they didn't know how to defend themselves.
In that circumstance, but like this is kind of like if the world get into a state of martial law, but like we live in Canada, in Toronto.
Let's hope nothing happens.
Yeah, but you understand. But then back to that time, so like I felt so empowered as I never felt before, and also I felt like I could do something. And then like really require me so much because jiu-jitsu, it's simple.
For you.
No. And then I try to defend that, and you there listen that. I want to make your mind about it. Jiu-jitsu is extremely simple and efficient.
Okay.
But the thing is, it become a different game when we both know jiu-jitsu.
Right. Okay. I
And
see what you're saying.
become a complex art.
Because now all of a sudden it's two
It's
players.
a chess game.
Exactly. Okay.
It's a game of strategy. It's a game of emotional control. It's a game of stamina. If a game of body. And then like if you take to the sport and then become an art. It's a sport that become an art. It's a martial arts that become an art. And then you can express yourself freely there. The way you are, the way you like to think is pretty much the way you fight, because most of your actions are based on your thoughts and the way you process and you make the emotional control. So I like to tell my students that it's pretty much emotional control training, because you go through real emotions that in fact don't affect your life in nothing. Because a lot of people, when you see from a far perspective and sometimes from a shallow perspective, and shallow perspective I say is when you start training. And then when I say start, I will consider the first 2-3 years. What happened? The person started to feel judged. Oh, the instructors see me getting beat. So those feelings are real.
Yeah.
And you need to learn how to overcome that in order to endure. And that is really powerful because transcend to your life.
Yeah.
So the emotional control aspect is, to me, the most valuable thing jiu-jitsu can give it to you. I will say that there's people that if they're not well guided, they might train jiu-jitsu for years and they don't realize that. They unconsciously doing and practicing and even getting a better emotional control. But when you know and you're aware of, it becomes like something like incredible for your life.
It just becomes like second nature for whoever's training for that long,
Yes, it becomes useful.
Yeah.
Like, we all martial artists, you probably heard about Musashi, and that's one of his amazing quotes is one is like, do nothing that is not useful for everything. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like jiu-jitsu. It's like, because at some point when you're like, okay, 20, I see like some guys that pursue like their competitor career, they want like win world championships and this and that, but then like, now I had 2 kids, and jiu-jitsu is not yet like a sport that you can rely on being professional as an athlete. The scene today is so much better. We can talk about that, but it's still like far away for what actually is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So what happened is that why would you still doing this? Keep like wearing that pajamas and going like to the dojo. Like people start like to see a lot of times martial arts or something for kids.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu, it breaks through that because it has actual use of it. Because like you enhance in the way you think, so you become sharper.
And it overlaps our lives, not only in the dojo, but outside. It definitely,
because you fight for real every day.
Yeah. So you need to have that mindset.
You gotta be sharp.
Yeah. No,
And that
100%.
I hear that all the time. It's like you go home thinking about it.
Yeah.
You go to the locker room, you cry, you're mad because someone just literally smashed you, and then you feel humiliated.
Yeah.
And then you have to overcome that to come back next day to train. This is the point where like people start to feel the changes because now they're humble. But in the same way, they start to overcome that, and now they're beating that guy or beating that girl or beating themselves.
Yeah.
And now they're like they like more they more courageous. They're able to accept different challenges in life to pursue for new things.
No,
And you see like I hear, I have received so many messages from the students of like incredible things that they're achieving in their life, and they start like to relate that with their jiu-jitsu training.
Yeah.
I'm like, you did it. Jiu-jitsu was a vehicle, and I'm very happy to be able to offer that to people.
And when did you start realizing that? When, like, going back to your younger years when you started training, when did you start realizing that that is going to change your life? And then what was the next step? Like, when did you get really serious into it?
It took like a few years. I fell in love for the sport. I was like just grasping into the martial arts, not really understanding all the concepts, all the philosophy around it. But I was being impacted already, like, start like to eat differently, to get in a better shape, to be more thoughtful about my actions. And then at some point when I moved to the Grace Academy, so that this just to position you in the story on a timeline there. That was a small dojo where I started. I spent about 2 years and a half there. This first ever teacher, he was not able to be there all the time, so he got another professor to be there, which was one of the few Carson Gracie black belts. His name is Fernando Nutribaby. So I was studying jiu-jitsu under him, and he like put me to compete. I went to train at a Carson Grace Academy, which is a different lineage of the Grace family. We can maybe chat about that later.
Yeah, because the history is quite something. I kind of dug into it before, us sitting down and talking. So I went into the YouTube rabbit hole of the Gracie family, how it came from Japan, and all of these interesting parts of the history of BJJ is quite something. But the Gracies were really the family that pushed the art the most.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're
right? Like, that's what even today, everybody, whenever you say Gracie,
respect, admiration, gratitude for everything they have done for my life.
And there were like 5 brothers, the originals, right? Or something like
Those
that?
Those are the Helio sons, right?
Oh,
like Hoyle, Hobby,
getting my history mixed up.
Hickson, Horion, Hoke. I think there are 5, but there's so many. Okay. The family's big, and they're all relevant. Most of them, especially from that generation, that was the generation that raised me, quote unquote, on that.
Yeah.
So then at that point that I left the Carson Grace Academy, which was an affiliate, that back then there was no affiliation, or it was like, this is a black belt from Carson, everybody's Carson.
Yeah.
So he moved to another city, and then the dojo was pretty much closed. And I live in the neighborhood. There was one of the biggest branches from the Gracie Humaitá, which is the Gracie that come from Hélio Gracie. So just to now get a little bit of the idea for who's listening, there was a Japanese fighter or practitioner of Jiu-Jitsu that moved from Japan to Brazil in a period of agriculture of rice, if I'm not wrong, to Belém do Pará. And then there he meets the Gracie family. He teaches Jiu-Jitsu to the family. Carlos Gracie kind of become the leader. They moved to Rio de Janeiro. And then Carlos Gracie is the father of Carson Gracie, which is the brother of Hélio Gracie.
Okay. So, all in the family there.
But they all teach in the same spot. I'm really trying to make it really short because that's long.
Yeah.
So then like Carson wants his guys to just train with each other and compete against the family. Somehow, in the point of the history, the part that was Carlos Sr., who has Carlos Gracie Jr., which today is president of the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and Gracie Barra, that's a branch, moved to this neighborhood, Barra da Tijuca, so they start Gracie Barra there. Gracie Humaitá comes from Hélio Gracie family, which goes to the Humaitá is a neighborhood in Brazil too.
Okay.
So, and then Carson Gracie stay in Copacabana. So of course there is a point of the story that they were in downtown Rio. This is too much details. We need 3 podcasts just for that. And I'm not like
we'll search on you guys search on YouTube.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
But just so you guys have some idea. So then I end up on this side of the family now with the Gracie Humaitá, the Hélio sons, with this Gracie Academy is called Gracie Tijuca, which is my neighborhood. And it was led by Jorge Gracie being the overview of the program, head guy. And we have like they're teaching Saulo Ribeiro and Vinicius Aita. Saulo Ribeiro is a Hall of Famer, multiple times world champion, HCC. So, and then I'm there. So when I got there, it was like quite a wow. You know, it was like, we had the biggest dojo in Latin America at that time.
Wow.
Like the mats full of people, we training. And then we have the first world championships hosted in Brazil. So then for the second world championships, I'm like working an event. I didn't compete because I did not qualify. Back then you have to qualify being a state champion or national champion or being former world champion. And I was juvenile as well. So my mom works in the laundry. I have this sponsorship that I could go there Sundays and wash geese. And then I can get some change out of that. So I offer that for people in academy. But when the World Championships was being hosted, a lot of people from North America come to train. Mm-hmm. And there was one professor. His name is a black belt. His name is Wellington Megaton. His daughter fights in the UFC, Mackenzie Dern. So Megaton is like, if I'm not wrong, he has a record. He was the guy that competed pretty much all the world championships. I think he just missed it the last year, but he was like, until that point, like the only black belt who competed every single world championships. And he was helping me translating while I was laundry the geese for the American guys. And he already living in America back then. So, and I was like 16 at that time to turn 17. Finishing like what is here before you go college, right? It's high school.
High school, yeah.
Finishing high school. And then that weekend we had the World Championships. I'm also working in the event because everything I could do to be around, I was doing.
So you just wanted, at that point, you were already all in.
Yeah,
you just wanted to be a part
but I
of
still have some I thought I had to be a champion. But I want to be around somehow. I just don't want to be anywhere. I just want to be in an academy. I just want to be training. I just be in a competition as still today. So when we there, Carlos Gracie Jr., which is the president of the federation, that was the second World Championships. He stands and before the event started, he give a speech for like some of the staff, and somehow he's talking about like one day this is not going to be here, this is going to be outside. So that weekend, after watching the whole event, I was sold. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to move to California and I'm going to be a jiu-jitsu teacher. So I go to my mom, finishing high school, not coming back to school. I'm not going to school anymore. Like, that's it. I'm going to be a jiu-jitsu teacher. She got crazy. Talking about 1996, 1997.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, what? No, like, and then.
But you know what? That's interesting that you at that age, you already knew exactly what you wanted to do. That's interesting because a lot of times, and I'm speaking from experience, like when I was 17 finishing high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. You know, and a lot of my friends were in the same boat. They like, I think it's not easy for everybody to know at that age what they want to do, but you found your passion
really
early
fast.
on.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. I won't lie. That was an advantage, but I had many obstacles. Mm-hmm. So I started to kind of pursue that career, quote unquote. There was not a career, right? And without knowing, I was just creating things for myself, asking sponsorship in English courses, try to help every single class that I could, to the point that that friend of mine that's from the academy, her name is Letícia Ribeiro. She's also a Hall of Famer, like multiple time world champion. She got a sponsorship in this university. So then she finds a way to give this sponsorship to another athlete. So I go there and then I get mine. So then I was able to to make my university, like which we call like in Brazil, is a physical education.
Okay.
It's like kinesiology, physiology, training, sports. Like it's 4 year full time.
Gotcha.
It helped me. It was a lot of sacrifice every day, waking up 4:45 a.m., getting in the bus, 2 hours to the university, having the class, going back to train. And another, like, it's kind of like I live in the north. The gym was far west. And then I train in the south and I work downtown.
So
go
you
back
really have to
every
be
day.
committed. And every day you trained every day.
Every day. And I compete pretty much every weekend that I could possibly do.
Oh, and
this is
competing
like,
as well. Jesus.
Yeah. I remember in the year of 2000 was purple belt. I was excited about one tournament. That day I would have completed my 100 match, jiu-jitsu match.
Wow.
And I completed, and then that day I maybe make 7 matches, and that was 106 or 7, and that's it. I stopped counting. And it's like, I completed this year already after hip replacement surgery. I really love jiu-jitsu. I really live I live jiu-jitsu
I can tell.
24/7, and I'm very intense. So I don't like to put myself as an example for anybody, but if I can be a form of inspiration to someone just to step out of their couch and do something, it's like, what's the worst case scenario?
Well, I'll be honest. I went to go watch you teach a class. We'll put some images up of the class, and I was there on the sidelines, and I felt like jumping in and going in.
I'm glad to hear that.
You know, I liked the way that you were, and obviously they were a more advanced class and all that, and I get that, but it was interesting to see the way that you were communicating with them. You don't just go there and say, this is what you have to do and do it. No, you explain why. And what I actually found interesting is the complexity and the simplicity. Going back to what you're saying initially, it's a simple move, but then you're like, but it can be done in so many different ways. And it makes sense what you were saying before, which is it can be done in so many different ways because of the opponent.
Yeah.
Right?
I like to metaphor that with, we utilize physical laws, which they're immutable, right?
Yeah.
They don't change. Gravity don't change. Math don't change. But there's variables.
Yeah, and that's
one
fascinating.
Angle, one power in one direction, it changed, the leverage change all the time. So it's about you learn how to dominate that
and how
in
fast
motion.
you guys have to think about the solution to the problem that's being presented.
There we go. You see, and this is only being well done when you have good emotional control. Because you're less reactive, more proactive. So now you're anticipating things, you're calculating risk.
So essentially, if I move this way, he's going to probably choke me. So I should, all of these things.
What's the worst?
But you
case
never
scenario?
Really know. You're kind of predicting it, but
and
you
then
don't.
Of course I was studying jiu-jitsu and I had good masters around me. I was very fortunate, like I was in the right spot in the right moment. So my generation was inspired, was role modeling like the best guys.
So when you're in class today, do you look back at what they taught you? Do you try to follow?
All my teaching base is based on what I learned in the Grace Academy, like from Vinicius Ayeta, which he's still teaching there in Brazil in the Grace Academy in the new venue. Actually, I'm like looking forward to go meet the new gym. And he's a deep study of the art. Like Marcelo Ribeiro was like just one of the icons, and he just formed, like I was one of his first. I think I'm like his first generation of black belts. Like all together, it's like I was in the right. Like I was blessed to have few classes of Hélio Gracie and have direct contact with Hoyler. It's like it was a privilege, and I never took for granted. I never took for granted. Like from that point, I could see how valuable it was, and I dive all in.
Cafe Brasiliano, where the coffee is truly amazing, but that's not all they have to offer. Their sandwiches will make your taste buds dance. Every bite is packed with flavor and freshness. Trust me on this one. The vintage style of this place isn't just limited to the decor. They even have a marketplace of quality products that you can browse while you're enjoying your coffee. Perfect to meet your friends or make new ones. Cafe Brasiliano is the perfect place for coffee, sandwiches, and a unique shopping experience. If you're in Toronto, don't forget to swing by at 80 Miller Street.
How valuable is it to you to continue those traditions and to keep that Because I know that every dojo or every group, I don't know how you guys call it in BJJ, but like every school, is it schools or like how do you guys
school
academy, right? Everybody has their own style, I guess.
Kind of.
A little bit different. There's a main
I think
thing.
Today what happened is like
Explain a little bit about how that all works.
Competition took over the weight of being popular.
Okay.
Jiu-Jitsu became super popular first with the UFC.
Yes.
Because back in the day, there was not UFC. It was, we call it Ultimate Fighting, right? Because it was like the goal, which Jorge Gracie created that, the goal was to prove Jiu-Jitsu as the most effective, efficient martial art.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of chose Royce, which was like the skinnier but not so fragile, tough guy. Went there, beat everybody, 3 fights in the same night, no rules. Because like people really like forgot how it was. Like some people that really love martial arts might understand what I'm saying. Like when you see UFC today, it has nothing to do what it was. It was a totally different thing.
Well, they were starting off. I don't think they even knew exactly what they wanted to do. I think they all wanted to just get an ultimate fighting combat.
Yeah, but the Gracie family knew what they wanted.
But
because they were doing that way back in Brazil, trying to prove Jiu-Jitsu was the biggest martial art. So Jorge moved to the States with that intention to put it in North America. And they made like, if you ever had an opportunity to go take a look and try to find that on YouTube, it's probably back in the day we have the VHS called Gracie in Action. So there was like the family making challenges against another martial arts and showing how efficient.
So they would just battle other martial artists.
Everybody, they would put like class ads, say like, "Hey, I'll pay you money if you come to my gym to try to beat me, or go in yours and beat you. Go in the cities, go to the."
That's how much they believed in their martial art.
Yeah. So it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And they pretty much they beat everybody. I don't know about a family that has done what they have done. It's like they made a revolution in martial arts. Like honestly,
for sure. I mean, like I said before, you mentioned the name Gracie. You know what it's all about.
Like today, any like that's the thing. So then the sport of Jiu-Jitsu grew because of Gracie family. Because Carlos Gracie took like Junior took it and we started like to organize more, and then we became the FJJF that end up getting to. Somehow in Abu Dhabi, they make like the Sheikh got fat passionate about it. Today, Abu Dhabi has Jiu-Jitsu as their national sport in the Emirates and the United Arab Emirates. Jiu-Jitsu is there's like, thousands of Brazilians being hired to teach there. There's tournaments every weekend. So they make that tournament called ADCC.
They don't joke around
which was a grappling event to put like grapplers all over the world to fight, and the Gracies, they won like a Hansel Hoyler, and then many like Jiu-Jitsu players like that won that event. So, and today is super popular. Yeah. So I think when the competition got popular, it became a sport, and that's why Helio Gracie was always kind of against it, which like somehow I understand why he thinks he doesn't want the martial art to die, and we can't fight against evolution. He made like the best thing in the world, which was like develop Jiu-Jitsu in a different way. Because a lot of people might be asking, what's the difference between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Japanese Jiu-Jitsu? Somehow became Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know exactly why they put like one more I in the Jiu-Jitsu to Jiu-Jitsu. But basically, Helio, because he was weak, he developed like a way to fight more on the ground and to use more of the game and just start to train more. And when you train more, you develop more.
Yeah.
The Japanese really have that approach, so they really try to be on their feet, go down.
It's more of the judo approach, right?
The judo came from Jiu-Jitsu.
Exactly.
So, and then like Jigoro Kano, systemized everything to become a sport, became an Olympic sport.
Exactly, yeah.
But the martial arts, like still traveling, you still have like the styles of that Jiu-Jitsu being practiced.
Yeah.
But honestly, the grappling is far more effective, far more efficient when you train. I use a lot this word, right? Efficient, effective.
Yeah.
Because you need something that actually protects you, And then look, I compete on MMA. I train Muay Thai, boxing. I had amateur boxing matches. I have amateur kickboxing or Muay Thai matches. Train wrestling. But if I have to choose something to defend myself, it has to be Jiu-Jitsu. I don't want to risk to have a punch or kick anybody in the streets. I don't want it. Unless it's my very last resource. Because I'll tell you, you punch someone, you maybe knock the hell out, you break your head.
Yeah, there's always that chance.
So all right, I win the fight. Yeah, go to hospital, several weeks taking care of a bone that broke. Or maybe I punch you and got on your tooth and then I got a bacteria there and have to make an operation just to clean up my bones.
Yeah.
Or maybe I missed the punch and now I make you mad and now you got a piece of wood and then you punch me. So every time I teach someone, like especially in an intro class, it's very natural that when people are like, oh, now I'm learning how to fight and they make a fist. I'm like, no, you never make a fist in a street fight. I'm like, why? Because you show you're ready to fight. Well, people don't realize that in the streets there's no rules. There's no martial arts. There's no code of honor. People will pass you through like with their car. People are going to stab you. In the desperation, who knows what the person's going to try to do with you. Yeah. If the person already came to the point that they want to fight you, you have to expect everything from it.
Exactly.
So everything I can do it to avoid the altercation, I'm going to do it. So then if it's a body language sign of saying like, hey, I don't want to do it. And if you think about it, look, I'm in guard.
You're defending yourself right
I'm
there.
in guard.
Yeah.
I'm in guard. My left hand is here. I'm ready to give you a jab. I'm ready to give you a cross. Everything's here. But like, I don't need to show you. Yeah. Why am I going to show you? Then it's like, now we start like to, as martial artists, we study more like the old martial artists that really set the standards of how to think, which like, Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and all this. If you go and you read those books and you see how much strategy has and how much mindset is in the game. Yeah. So then we have to develop that and try to pass it to the students. And Jiu-Jitsu give you this real chance. Why? Because you fight every day. Unless you're going to be like an actual fighter, like an everyday goal, like to spar, to try to really beat each other up. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to really experience what is somebody going like a full tilt on you with punches and kicks. Oh, but like I'm going to wear the chin pad and the 16 ounces. Yeah, but like in a okay environment, people are going to train nicely.
Yesterday I did the real thing.
Yesterday I did like 20 rounds of 3 minutes of boxing with my friends, 3 guys with boom, boom. We're not trying to knock each other out. Why am I going to do this?
Yeah.
So when I cannot really see what's up. But today I trained with 2-3 guys, Jiu-Jitsu, and we really went full tilt.
Yeah. And you're still here to do the interview.
That's it. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And then I can also compete. And then like this is one of the things that is part of the program. So that's why for me the competition is handy on that. Not because we want everybody to become athletes and champions, because like the lifestyle is hard.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can go there and try yourself and be in that environment and expose yourself to this high level stress.
So it's a mental game.
Like 70%.
Yeah.
And of course, you sign up today, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're going to compete. Oh, man, you change.
It does change. Yeah.
You're more intentional in the training. You now like thinking about your diet, because if you don't take the steps to be ready, like when you're there, you have very less confidence. You're probably going to lose, and then you're going to be having to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
So then more accountability comes in the game. So you can't that's why a lot of people quit.
Yeah.
Also.
It's not easy. Like the pressure is real. Like even in karate, the little karate I know, but to get to where I'm at, every time we're going to go for a belt test. The pressure's on. It's like, oh man, do I know all my stuff? Do I know everything, right? So, and I remember the last time when I went for my black belt test, I really felt the pressure. When they told me you're going to go test, I'm like, oh man.
Change everything, right?
It completely changed. I went from going twice a week to train to 5 days a week. It's like I knew I had to get my things ready, my shit together and get my, get everything down the right way.
To be sharp. And then
so
imagine
it does change you.
Now you picture that you now going to be in a stadium with a lot of people watching in the crowd, some people taping.
Yeah, it's
and you're like, I don't want to do ugly there. I want to do well, right? And that hold yourself accountable because you're there. There's nobody to, but my coach is so bad. It's like, yeah, you're going to give all the excuses you can.
Yeah.
Like, my kids
That's
every
on
day
you.
wake up.
It's on
yeah,
you.
but you there. So, and this helps you because as I told you, it transcends to life.
Yeah.
And then now you hold yourself accountable for your actions more. What we see today in the world, a lot of people give excuses. I'm out of shape because I have 2 kids now.
That's what I say. I'm too old, but I still go.
but I'm that serious now. Like it's a disease that we need to fight.
I think it's a mental issue that we block ourselves from doing stuff because of what you're saying is the excuse. It's so much easier to find an excuse not to do something rather than doing it, right?
Exactly.
And when a lot of guys my age, I'm 46, and when I say I started 6-7 years ago, they're like, "You're crazy. Wow, how did you start?"
No.
I'm like, "No, like that doesn't mean."
What's the worst case scenario?
Like, yeah, I was out of shape. Now I'm not out of shape, as much out of shape. I can still be better, but I'm working there. I'm getting there. Why am I going to quit just because? Oh, now I'm 40. I'm going to quit life.
A lot of people quit when they have kids.
Yeah,
and then they don't realize they'll become a role model for their kids.
Yeah.
Now your kids see you being a quitter.
Exactly.
You're a guy out of shape that doesn't have an activity for you. What do you expect from him when he grows? Like, he's going to follow your steps.
You're never too old. That's the thing I say. I'm always joking around. I'm always saying I'm old.
But
that's me joking around. But at the end of the day, I still
not
keep
just
doing
that. Not just that. Jaime, in these years teaching Jiu-Jitsu and living Jiu-Jitsu, I see how easy it is to us to find a comfortable zone. Like, it's from our nature.
Yeah.
We need to find something and more elements to fight against this nature, because our nature will always push us down. Our nature always going to tell us otherwise. Our nature is always going to play the what ifs. Oh, what if you this? What if you that? And then because we are weaker by nature, you have to enhance yourself spiritually. That's like the Carlos Gracie side of the family, because he was a spiritualist one. Mm-hmm. To me, Jiu-Jitsu even helped me to find God in all my faith. Yeah. Because I realized that my body was not just my flesh, just my bones. It's that there was something there that I can make stronger or weaker, which is my spirit.
Yeah.
But like my soul is weak. It's corrupted. My soul doesn't want to train. Today I woke up at 5 to swim. I trained already. I taught. I'm here with you. I'm coming back to dojo. I'm teaching. Tomorrow the same. I'm working my business. But if my soul takes over, I will just gonna sit down, eat some chocolate bar.
And find excuses.
No, sometimes not even that. It's like, because to me, it's like, it's fine. So why I'm gonna pursue for more? Why? Everything's good. It's like, it's comfortable. If you're comfortable, you don't grow. And then you start to decline and you don't see it. Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to enhance your spirit. And that's what a lot of people, the spirit, you can fed. You can give like something that will make you stronger, or you can give something that will make you weaker. But the easier one is just to let it get weaker. And a lot of people have weak spirits. Where first obstacle that comes in their life, they quit. And then it become a habit. And then now it become like more scientific than we think. Because habits are not really like just, it starts with an attitude, but it became after something like in your brain, chemical, and engraved it. And then after it's much harder to take it away. You need to like create and replace the habit.
Exactly.
Like reading the book, like A Power of Habits, is like, it's just like, wow, it's crazy. Not Atomic Habits, which is another good book too, but it's like Power of Habits. It like, you just like, you got to understand.
You're not the first person to mention that book. I have to grab my.
Very good.
I have to grab that one and
very good. Okay. So it really makes you like, okay, I got it. So there's sometimes you don't understand, but you're just acting, doing something that you don't like to do, because like your brain will always push you to do that. You already crave that in. You need to learn how to replace that. So then that's why, like, again, the martial art can come very handy, because you need something that give a reward to build a new habit. Yeah. That's another talk. But we try to put all those elements in our system.
Do you bring all of this? So when you're in classes, so that people can understand what you do in your class, not only are you teaching the grappling, the martial art, do you bring these life lessons into your classes?
Jiu-Jitsu is the ultimate personal development tool, period.
You heard it here first, people.
That's it, because you learn how to defend yourself, you get in shape, you make new friends, and you learn how to have emotional control. It's good.
Kind of sums up a lot of things.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like now you have like better friends. You start like to decide more like your actions,
Yeah.
and then you start to see what will be beneficial to your health. So now you start to eat better, sleep better. Now you're doing a physical activity that helps you not just to get in shape, but also like if you have any problem that you, for whatever reason, you know how to protect yourself, protect your family, builds your self-esteem.
Yeah. You've touched on eating well a couple of times, and that's something that I if you can talk a little bit about that, because I feel it's such an important piece of the puzzle that a lot of people don't understand. Even myself, I've always been a healthy guy and all of that, but you kind of let yourself go sometimes, you know? And lately I've been really paying attention to my health, what I eat, how I'm treating my body. And it's made a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And I want to get it from you, someone that you do this for a living. How important is eating healthy?
It's a lifestyle that, like, when we start training jiu-jitsu back then, in my times, like Helio Gracie was one of the, like, I didn't get a chance to even hear Carlos. Now that like one of his daughters wrote a book, so we read the book, but we always hear from who. But like Helio was kind of like the one that he really embraced the Gracie diet. So then we were kids, we always hear about the Gracie diet, and then back then it was so hard to get even the information about it. So that's one of my professors. Vini Aeta was kind of the one that kind of guided me through that, and I remember to be like a big change. So Vini had a cottage in the city called Teresópolis, and he kind of emulate what Carlos and Helio would do in the ranch in Itaipava. He would bring a lot of kids to the cottage. We would train on the grass. We would do jiu-jitsu, go compete in that city, and would make a big table and teach us how to eat. And then for me it was very important because I didn't get any information about food. Like my generation was not as privileged as the generation today. Like now, look, you get all the information at the tip of your finger.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, is it possible nowadays to find out all of that information?
There's a book about the Gracie diet.
The Gracie diets and all that?
Gracie made it.
Interesting.
I followed the Gracie diet for a long period of time. I remember to get really skinny because I didn't have like a skills to cook, and my mom was still doing the traditional Brazilian food, and she was like, "You're getting crazy, you're gonna get sick." But I never got sick. I just started to really base most of my diet, which is still nowadays, on the combinations of the diet. So there's some basic combinations that you don't mix carbs. There's some acid fruits that you want to miss it, because everything comes to the idea that you need to balance your pH and don't make your digestion spend more energy than it will actually take. Yeah. So then, like, for example, like today, my lunch was a bag of grapes. That's it. Bag of grapes. I ate the whole thing. Boom. That's my lunch. So until now, like, that was the only thing I had today since I woke up. I had like my morning shot, which is lemon, glutamine, and these things, water, coffee, and then the grapes. And now I'm probably gonna have a dinner, which is probably gonna be some protein with some salad. Yeah, some days I got a little chocolate here, an ice cream there.
Well, you can't say, you gotta cheat every
that's the
once in a while.
thing. And I regret most of the times, especially when I have burgers, I'm like, whoa. and then it's funny because I picture Helio Gracie looking at like talking one of his most famous things, like you die from what you put in your mouth, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And it's always the next day, and sometimes not even the next day.
If you think, you start to imagine like how this is going in through your body, and your body's absorbing that. Yeah. You start to feel like, I just want to put clean things in. Yeah. So then you build this lifestyle of always being healthy and eating healthy, which allows you to do more, to have more energy. And sometimes we have this reverse, like, eat more to get more energy. I don't think that's right, because I feel like when I have like a big lunch, I want to sleep. Yeah. Because I need to digest that amount of food. So I want like something that allows me to like keep like active through the day, and then my brain is sharp and I can keep like doing more.
Yeah, it's so important. Like, I've been doing intermittent fasting for years now, and I find that has helped me a lot especially the morning. My first meal is around 1, 2 o'clock, but I've gotten used to that, and I am not hungry. People sometimes are, oh my God, like, You haven't eaten yet?
We can resist. I feel like I have to learn a lot on how to fast with MMA fights, because I walk around 184, 182, and I used to compete at 155.
Oof,
You really need to
a
build.
big dip.
Yeah, you really need to build. That is not healthy, by the way.
No.
But we have to.
But now you're talking competition.
Professional sports.
It's different.
But I feel like
world.
I love it, like my career of being of fighting MMA professionally, which I don't agree with that terminology. I'll explain that later. Because to me, it was more a spiritual path. Mm-hmm. To me, it was my Bushido, my way of a warrior, where I can find myself in that whole, in this whole way to the fight, leading to the fight, to the training, the fasting, the sacrifices, to go there and handle my emotional control, like into the cage, into the ring. I made 23 professional fights. Oof. It was the best experience I have. Every fight made me a different man, and I think the way of like cutting weight was to me good, because I started to enhance my spirituality by using that as a fasting.
Yeah,
and I think fast really makes you stronger, like resilient in the mind.
Yeah, I was gonna just say the mind.
I don't even go through much about that. It's good, that gives you like a health aspects and health benefits, but I remember many years of my life to just go to school without breakfast, and just my mom's like, you gotta eat something. I'm like, I don't like to eat in the morning.
Yeah, I think we need to start listening more to our body and not so much to the habits that we put in our body. I think that's the other difference there.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, like when I started fasting, it wasn't easy because I had the habit of eating in the morning. But then when you start, I started eating later, and then it was 10 o'clock, and then it was 11, and then it was noon. And then my body told me that it's around 1 o'clock, because I think it's that those many hours that it needs to kind of get to that point after dinner. It takes about 14, 15 hours, and then I'm ready to eat again. But it's...
I think you raise a good point on we should listen to our body.
Yeah, and... right now, like I still, up until now, and I'm fortunate that I have my own business, so I don't have the time to eat.
To be there.
So I eat when my body tells me I'm hungry. That's it.
That's good. That's the best way, right?
It's usually around 1, 2 o'clock. I've gone until 4, 5 o'clock some days, and I'm okay. It's not like I'm starving. But it's interesting to see sometimes people's reactions, like, oh, you're crazy, you're going to kill yourself, it's not good. I go, no, man, like, listen, if you start doing it, you'll notice a difference, especially your mind. You're so much sharper.
Like when I'm training, of course, when we train, like we have to try like to get some energy in.
Yeah.
I feel the days I train more, I need like to get something in the middle of the day, like with more density.
Yeah. Well, you need some fuel, right?
Yeah. You need the vitamins, you need the minerals. But as I said, like today, there's no excuses.
Yeah.
People spend time scrolling, checking out how's
check out the good stuff, people. The good stuff, not TikToks. Not TikTok.
Yeah, not how little Joe's doing like the new dance, like just like the internet is also a great thing, for life. You can like.
It's like anything in life,
right?
Be
mentored by the best guys in the world, and then people choose to be listening. What's the new TikTok is? It's like you got to make good choices, And then again, I'll bring to Jiu-Jitsu. It helps you to start to realize that, because you make bad choices, you pay right there with someone choking you.
Yeah,
you make bad choices.
You got to think. You got to be a fast thinker. So your mind needs to be nice, clear, and sharp.
Even if it's like, look, I don't have the ability to deal with that. So how can I overcome this?
Yeah.
You have to looking for information, more technique. Oh, I need to eat better. Oh, I need just the idea of go and pursue for excellence already change the way you think. Because that's, again, it will transcend. So everything you do, you start like to look this, here in my work, I can be more efficient. How can I make my job better? How can I help like this place? And now you start to become better in the place you work. Now I become a better husband. Now I become a better father. Now I become a better son.
Yeah. So
habits.
Tell people what George does nowadays. Where are you involved? What are you up to on a day to day? Where do you train? Where do you teach? All of this, all the new information.
Today I teach in 2 schools, right? Like I teach at Toronto GJ, which is the school I started here in Canada.
Yeah.
Like I came here in 2008 and I started to teach there. The gym is well established. We have like a lot of members. We won many tournaments, like a lot of champions. And the school became an association called Jiu-Jitsu for Life team, where we have in Ontario, if I'm not wrong, over 20-something gyms. They're part of our affiliation. There, I am head instructor. I recently opened a new branch in Etobicoke called Etobicoke BJJ, where I teach as well. And
so you're teaching every single day, or do you take a day off?
I take a day off.
Are you
in
giving
Sunday.
yourself that?
Sunday.
There
And then I also work organizing some events across the country. Like I just came back from Regina doing the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro, which I work for Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro, which is the professional Jiu-Jitsu league from Abu Dhabi. I also associate with the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. We have an event here in Toronto in September. And I also represent the Abu Dhabi Combat Club, which is the biggest grappling event in the world in Canada. We're trying to make an event in Vancouver.
Amazing. No, but we won't say, there's only like 2 people watching.
Just joking. It's because I'm still waiting to close that. But yeah, and first and foremost, I'm a father.
Yeah.
You know, I pick up my kids every day in school. I take them to soccer, to gymnastics, to jiu-jitsu, obviously. They both train, I think.
Oh, they're both, you have 2 kids?
Oh, yes, 2 kids. My daughter has 5 and my son has 10.
The 5-year-olds are already training?
They all train, they all compete, yeah.
Nice.
I think, look, jiu-jitsu is a life skill.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure everybody that listens here that has kids, and you probably, if you have kids, you put your kids to do swimming lessons, right?
Yeah. Both my kids are in karate. They started
swimming,
first.
But I'm trying to make that example of you put them in swimming lessons. You don't want your kid to ever go to a pool and draw. Exactly. You don't want a kid. It's a life skill. And I think jiu-jitsu is a life skill. Yeah. Like if my son is going to be a jiu-jitsu guy, that would be awesome. We'll be very happy. But to me, it's he needs to learn how to fight. Learn how to handle himself when somebody pushes him, when somebody puts him on the floor. And jiu-jitsu has a easy way to do it because they actually have to fight. So they will build the default reactions. Yeah. One of the things a lot of people don't know in jiu-jitsu, one of the most basic ways to move is the defensive structure, which you kind of put yourself in this situation here. We call 4 corners, 2 shields, 2 frames. But this is protecting your vital organs. So if I'm in a fight, I have a 1% chance to survive, even against a knife. Of course, against shooting, it's hard.
Yeah.
But somebody try to stab me, my default reaction will be in a way that I'm gonna give myself a chance.
Yeah.
Because in between, you have 0% of chance and 1% of chance. What would you pick?
Obviously the 1%.
And then between 0 and 1 is an infinity of number. Have you stopped to think about that? It's infinite. We cannot define what is in between 0 and 1. It's infinite. It literally is. So there's 0.0.000.5 is another chance that I have to survive. Yeah. People don't think that because people don't know. And jiu-jitsu is getting more popular. And the way the kids practice. Look, now I'm going to take a little bit away from jiu-jitsu and say, martial arts will help your kids a lot, to build discipline, education. Yeah. But the grappling martial arts will give them the default reaction when they actually get together, which most of kids get it. So what happened is that the kid by default built that. And right now, this is not something out of the world. When we're thinking about a society like the one we live today, most of North America, which the households are not violent. Okay, we do have fathers and mothers, they're abusive, they beat their kids. But an average father is a nice father that only give love and hugs and kisses to their kids. So what happens is the kid don't know what's being attacked. So when they see that, they panic. In their brain, the world's gonna end. They're gonna suffer for something that's unimaginable because they never had it.
Yeah.
So that's when the bully comes in place. So they feel intimidated. But when the kid understands even if it's not really conscious yet, that their body's not as fragile as they think, they build confidence. And that's why the kids that do martial arts, they're more confident, especially the martial arts that got full contact, because they know, like, look, really gonna hurt me. Sometimes they get even overconfident.
Yeah.
And then we have to kind of hold an, hey, calm down, don't beat the other kids. You're good, but they'll do that.
But I think that discipline is the most important aspect for, especially for children. My kids, like my daughter started when she was 6. My son when he was 6 as well, 5, 6 years old. I started after them. They were already.
You watch and like, this is good. I want to jump.
And then
into
I'm like, I'm here. I might as well do it. But the reason why I put them there was exactly for that. Was I wanted them to have a chance to defend themselves. It wasn't so that they can get into fights and win. That was not the point. It was really, if they get into a situation, at least they'll know how to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And then
even if it's just to avoid and run.
But like that's what most of the time happens. But when you know how to fight, you can feel the danger.
Exactly.
You're more self-aware. And then you know how to behave.
Yeah.
Under stress, because now you make better decisions. You know how to think a little faster. And think like, that's not going to hurt me. Boom, I'm out. Oh, I'm against the wall. There's a door there. Oh, I'm in the door. So like we teach this in the classes. Like some of the kids, like we teach them like just to say stop, look further out. Oh, somebody's trying to take you in the car. You say no.
Yeah.
Like he's asking for help. You bring a grown up.
Or if there's like 2, 3 people, you need to know.
So we start to do this for the kids like in an early age, and then like we assume the kid's gonna do jiu-jitsu for a few years. So in a few years, they have that ability to be more aware.
Do you, jiu-jitsu is really gotten popular in the last, I would say in the last decade. It's really gotten popular. A lot of actors and known people have gotten into it. We even had Zuckerberg get into it. And competed and won. I don't know if he won because he knew the secrets of the other guy. No, he was in the DMs. He knew about it. No. It looked like he knows what he's doing and he's competing, which is amazing to see. Everybody's getting into it, and there's a reason for that. Are you now seeing a much bigger influx of kids joining the studios?
It's still a lot of kids coming. Like it's been always popular in between kids because parents always like yourself.
Yeah,
I want my kid to learn how to defend themselves. But and because somehow people still thinking, some people is changing, still thinking the martial arts are for kids, which is totally wrong.
Yeah.
The martial arts are for adults, actually.
Yeah.
Because the adults will have to learn much more than the kids. And talking about adults that have no experience with martial arts.
But listen, now I know better. But at the time, I'm like, I'm 40 years old. Like, I'm not going to start now. I should have started when I was 10. No. That was my mentality.
That's what most of people think.
Exactly.
And which is wrong, because you actually unlearn. And you enhance your natural reactions. What makes jiu-jitsu so magical? It's because jiu-jitsu kill all your natural reactions.
Okay, never thought about it that
way. If right now I get one person healthy that doesn't know how to fight, okay? Just say like, hey man, grab me here, try like to beat me, whatever way you want. So everything he does against me, it helped me to put jiu-jitsu even more efficient against him. Mm-hmm. So we have to like to reconnect our brain to and relearn, reframe everything we think there was like, oh, if the guy's in my back, I'm going to run this way. No, you don't do that. You script yourself actually. So you don't learn that. Like you're thinking, no, I'm going to do that. Then you just make the guy choke you. And then if you want to fight, you want like, oh, I don't want to get punched. I want to do this. Like, no, now you're going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
So all the reactions, you on the floor, you're going to push the guy, then you're going to get arm bar. You're going to get chokes. Like all your reactions are the ones that are going to make jiu-jitsu more efficient. Exactly. And that's when it becomes so simple, because the person that starts to learn that's like to apply jiu-jitsu in another person, you learn really fast. As I told you in the day you visit the gym, in 3 to 6 months, you learn how to defend yourself intelligently in the street fights.
Well, I'm going to do my first class today. If you guys don't see me back here on the next episode, you know what happened? Nah, I think I'm going to have fun. Sure. You know, it's... especially from what I saw when I was there seeing you teach that class, like I said, I felt like let me get in there. I feel like it's an interesting sport to get a hold of, and I feel like I love doing karate, and I'm not gonna quit that. But I feel like I'm at a point now in my life where I might be able to fit some extra moves. And you're never too old. That's
it will complement. It will complement. And like as a martial artist, I think you're gonna appreciate even more.
Well, the person who got us in contact, Lauren, he's I think 5th degree black belt, and he does jiu-jitsu with you guys, and he's, I mean, I can't go up to him and say I'm old because he's older than me, and you look at him, he's like doing 10 times better than I am.
He competed on a high level. He competed like world championships, like I guess a year ago or 2 years ago. He got bronze or silver medal.
Yeah, and I always tell him he's a machine. Like even last week we were practicing, we were doing cardio combat together, and I mean this guy.
Sometimes I have to tell him to slow down, Lauren. You go too fast.
He goes, man, and it's like wow. I want to be like that at his age, even though we're not that far apart. But still, awesome. it makes a difference,
awesome.
right?
It makes it feel like we look. Sometimes I feel even embarrassed to protect and to sell jiu-jitsu so much, but I believe that's in jiu-jitsu in a point that's like I just don't do anything in my life.
Yeah.
Like people say, like, "Oh, George, you're gonna have to work with something else." I'm like, I don't know. Like I might be a good personal trainer, which like I went to university, I learned a thing or two, and I work as a personal trainer to fund my jiu-jitsu.
But jiu-jitsu, I mean, look at you, you're nice and fit.
I believe with every single thing that jiu-jitsu will help any human being from any walk of life. Like we had students with cerebral palsy, we had students with like blinds. Like there's, if you guys want to check it out, there's like a para jiu-jitsu, which is like persons with quote unquote disabilities. Jiu-jitsu is highly adaptable, and your brain will thank you for it. So,
listen, George, we're gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. You guys should try it as well. But I have to thank you for coming over and giving us so much good information. And if somebody wants to get in contact with George, we're gonna put all the information on the description of the video, and they can get in contact with you. And we'll see you guys in the mat. Okay. Thank you so much, George.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.